Welcome back to another episode of the Lightdrop podcast, where we haven't really been gone per se. We just been a little dormant for a while. We've been cooking, but there's no better episode, I think, to bring things back than one that kind of comes up impromptu, right, spur of the moment. We had an opportunity to speak with our guest that we have on today, Bryce Reece, up and coming VFX artist. We're super excited to have this conversation with Bryce. I chatted with him the other day, and we was like, "Yo, we gotta do a podcast episode, man. We gotta keep talking about this."
So, yes, sir.
So we looking forward to this, Bryce. We're looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Bryce, so I think the way we typically do it is like we just start off like give me an artist info, your artist story. Like how did you get into this?
Yeah, man. I would like to say that I've been into specifically movies and film my entire life. Like I have a YouTube channel that has been active since 2013, and there are some videos on there that are privated that probably will never see the light of day unless I choose to. But a lot of those videos were just me uploading things on YouTube when I was 10 or 11 years old, just posting content. Like I got exposed to Windows Media Maker, which is like Windows basic editing software. And I would just take whatever pictures and stuff we had downloaded on the computer, and I would just chop things up live. We only had one computer at home. And so that was kind of like my intro to editing specifically. But like as a family, we would always watch movies every weekend. And that was before... I'm Gen Z now, so don't call me out as Unc for this, but like before Netflix was a service that you watched on TV, they used to send you DVDs. And so they would send us DVDs, and that's what we would watch every weekend. And I would watch like, Transformers, Star Wars, obviously Avengers, like a lot of these movies that built these worlds that felt so real that like as a kid, you're watching it, you're like, this is real. Like, where is this? Can I go here? And for some people, they would watch that and be like, this is cool. I love this. But there was a point in time where I thought about it as like, how am I able to do this? Like, how do I do this? Like, where do I start? And that was like real young. So I would like to say that's kind of my origin story. But then there was a while where I stopped. Like I stopped making YouTube videos, and like I got more into gaming and I got more into anime and stuff like that. So I didn't really start doing that back again until I got into high school. And that's where I really like picked up a camera again for the first time. I was shooting my local sports games, and I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to do VFX. I wanted to do movies, and I never was like that kid that made short films on his own time. And like, I know some people's origin stories like that, but like I never went that route. I kind of just shot anything I could. And then that's why I started getting introduced to After Effects. Like I took a TV broadcasting class, like in my regular public high school, started getting into After Effects, started editing my own videos. And then from there, I started really like, I think it's interesting about how I grew up, because you have the first few years of my life where I'm exposed to this regular form of movies and going to the theater and stuff. But I was also extremely inspired by like YouTube short film creators, because like that kind of showed me that this stuff was possible outside of the regular Hollywood route. So creators like Quarter Digital, King Vader, Rocket Jump, the Racker Bros, just like people that were making these films that looked so good on clearly a budget lower than Hollywood, but they were pumping content out and they were doing it like bi-weekly. I'm like, how are y'all doing this bi-weekly? Don't you need like a Hollywood supercomputer for all this stuff? And so once I got exposed to that, and I still watch a lot of these creators to this day, that's what really clicked for me. Like when I was in high school and I was a teenager, I was like, okay, there's a real route for me to start doing this on my own. And so when I was figuring out what I wanted to do for school, like for college, I had to make a decision because I'm also an athlete. I come from an athletic background. Both my parents are athletes. My father specifically played lacrosse. He played lacrosse in high school. So I was like, or he played lacrosse in high school and he played lacrosse in college as well. And I kind of wanted to follow it in his footsteps. And I really enjoy the sport of lacrosse to this day. Like it's probably my favorite sport to watch and to play. So I wanted to get recruited to play lacrosse. And so that was primarily a lot of my summers, my winters, my falls, like going to these camps, going to these tournaments, going to these club games and playing for my high school team, obviously. So a lot of what I was doing in my free time wasn't really making films and editing as much as I would have liked it to have been. It was primarily playing lacrosse. So I had to really figure out how to do both. And so I ended up going to school with the focus of playing lacrosse. Like I have a degree in it's multimedia communications. That's what it's called. I attended Lenore-Rhine University. It's a small liberal arts college out in Hickory, North Carolina, just an hour outside of Charlotte. And so there, I went to play lacrosse, and I had a fantastic career. I'm very grateful. I left with no student debt, thankfully as well. So,
Hey, we love to hear it.
yeah, that put me in a really good spot. And I didn't know that your performance on the field helped you out with your scholarship and stuff. So I'm very grateful that I was able to perform well. The team performed very well in my 4 years that I was there. But at the same time, my freshman year of college was COVID. So I get there fall of 2019, January, February, March. I played my first 6 games of the lacrosse season. They send us home. And now I'm like, okay, what do I do? And May of 2020 is when I opened Blender for the first time. And that was like really big for me because full on Blender donut, motion graphic tutorials. Like I started from the ground. I had no real mentor, nobody to really tell me this is what you should be doing. Like I just said, okay, I see Blender. I'm going to open Blender up. And that was like a really big jumping point for me because before, like I said, I was doing in-camera stuff, shooting football games, shooting lacrosse games. And this is really my step into animation. So I was like, okay, so maybe this is how they made Transformers. Maybe this is how they made it. So like that was a real big jump for me creatively to realize like this is stuff that I could do for free on a free software, but also like on my own time that gets me even closer to where I was going. And so in school, it was kind of tough because like I said, I was playing and I wanted to be good. Like I wanted to be somewhere where we won and I was contributing to that win. So like I was spending a lot of extra time playing lacrosse, like after hours, after practice, shooting extra, throwing around extra, honing my skills. So it was tough for me to be an athlete and be a filmmaker and a VFX artist at the same time. So I had to really figure out how to balance those two. And I think for a while, like I was still creating videos, but I think I could have created them more consistently while I was in school. But at the same time, like I was playing full, like school, like athletics
Yeah.
is a full time thing. Like my days were wake up, go to class, go to practice / lift, come home, sit on the computer for the rest of the night. Like if you talk to my roommates, he'll tell you like there's times he's like, bro, are you alive in there? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just I'm in here. Like I'm trying to figure this stuff out. And like I said, I had no real mentor and I didn't go to a school that was specific for animation or VFX or film school, so to speak. But I knew that this stuff was possible because of all the stuff that I watched on YouTube. And a lot of those guys were saying they didn't really go to film school. They just made it off of YouTube. So I was like, okay, if I really put the work in to figure out this stuff on my own, there could be a lane where it might be a little harder, but I really want this stuff because I really want to be able to make a Transformers or something like that. So understanding Blender, understanding all this stuff will really help me get to that point. And so, yeah, I've just been grinding that out. I've been out of school for 2 years now. And like, I still feel like I'm getting there. Like when I think about my end goal or the people that I admire and the work that they're creating, I still feel like that goal is on the moon. But I guess I can say I'm getting somewhere now. Like I'm getting a little closer to where I'm going. But everything is steps, man. Everything is steps. So that's kind of like, I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but that was really
That was great.
I gave y'all from birth to now. Like that was a real long-winded, but that's like I've been thinking about this. Like I'm thinking about how am I going to explain this to people for them to really understand. Like I don't consider myself a product of talent at all. Like we'll talk about the video that's seeing a lot of views, but I don't consider myself a product of talent. I think I've developed my eye as far as what I will accept as good or bad, but man, some of the stuff I was making, I didn't want to go off of the tutorial. I didn't know how to. So I was just strictly following the tutorials that were given to me. And I was like, all right, I'm about to do that and just that until I can get to a place where I feel comfortable to make my own environment or to make my own animation. And I think I've gotten to that point now. Like if I want to make something, maybe if it's something I haven't done before, I'll look up a tutorial for it. But if it's something that I've done multiple times in the past, I feel like I can do that on my own now. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, man.
That's incredible, bro. You sound like you're a machine, man. Like, so
And
I'm super interested in that because like, I didn't know that you played sports when Jamil first told me about you.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of digging and I saw like you were you weren't just like playing lacrosse. You were like a playmaker, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like you're you're super committed to sports. You're like putting everything into it, and then you have this side of you where you're like, I want to make some film, but it's kind of conflicted. But like at the same time, I feel like you're somebody who just commits. Like you're
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna just do this all the way. Doesn't
And it's
matter.
interesting because I found out like for a while another Ryan Coogler bit, like he played football in college, and
Mm-hmm.
he after he played football he applied to USC Film School, and he was talking about this like identity crisis because he was specifically on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and a lot of ex NBA players. So he was talking about this identity crisis for them. It was like, man, it was probably huge as an ex NBA basketball player, and now you're moving into the media space. And I really felt that because when I used to tell people that I wanted to make films and animation, they were like, oh, you want to do sports? You want to do sports videography, right? You want to do sport? Like they always equated what I wanted to do to sports because I was an athlete. I was like, no, I want to make this. And they were like, why don't you work for this sports production company or this, and that? Like I could. And there's a very much a lane for animation X sports, which is something that I'm in the process of working right now, but it's on my own terms. Like they would assume that I just wanted to shoot, go to games, shoot the games, edit the games live or edit the games after and just like highlight clips and stuff like that. Like that was some of my first jobs while I was at college. But that identity crisis is real. And how I combated that was like, what did I learn as an athlete that can be translated to the film world? Like, this film world is pretty much the same. Like, when a coach is yelling at you, how are you going to take that criticism? When somebody tells you your work sucks or they give you notes, like, how are you going to take that criticism? Like, teamwork. The biggest thing that I learned, I was fortunate enough to be voted as a captain for my junior and senior year of my college career. And the biggest thing that I enjoyed about being a captain was like, first off, leadership is not my way or a highway, right? It's how can I take what my coach is saying and apply it to my teammates in a way that they may not want to hear it from him because he's the big bad coach. Like, how can you apply it to them as a peer? And also, how can you breathe life into confidence of people? Like, breathe confidence into people. Like, there were some kids on that team, man, that were so good. They just needed like a little like, yo, you are nice, yo, like you can do this. Like, you can, like, especially the freshmen that were real nice, because freshmen will play. If you are nice as a freshman, you will play. Like, I had that opportunity because there were people in front of me or older than me that were giving me that confidence to say, yo, you can really do this. So like, being able to breathe confidence into people is the same exact thing as here. Like, you are working on teams, and if you aren't a good communicator and if you aren't somebody that can really breathe that confidence into people around you, then you might not see the best out of them. Like, you have to be able to find ways to lift them up so that they think, oh yeah, I might be that man. I might be that dude. Maybe I can actually edit this in a certain amount of time. Like, it may take a while, or it may not. In my mind, it might take me 5 days. Maybe I can do this in 3 days. Like, that is kind of that's how I've fought that identity crisis. Like, take the parallels that you used in sports and then apply them to this creative field, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Bryce. I I really like you, Bryce, because I mean, from the moment we spoke for the first time, it was, I mean, of course we have, and we'll kind of dig into this. Bryce and I, by pure coincidence, grew up in the same hometown.
Yep.
Um, so when we first started talking, we had that connection. It was instantly just like, oh, are you serious? But Bryce, one of the things that kind of stood out to me the most, especially like listening to you talk about being an athlete, which is something that I can relate to. I played basketball, I ran track in high school, I played soccer, all through middle school, high school, and even in college, where it wasn't a like formal team in our college and art school, but we
Mm-hmm.
had like intramurals, like we play like we there was some ballers for sure, and it was
Mm-hmm.
competitive. But I went to art school, and so that wasn't anybody's focus. But at the same time, I've been kind of observant for a while now about how I feel like, especially with the landscape of the industry now, and all creative industries, and what you and the skill sets that you need to have in order to be successful in these industries, especially when it comes to breaking in as a junior. I don't think that people are getting as prepared as you might necessarily be in art school, right? I feel like people who are going to art school and who are so focused on that thing that they whatever it is, film, you know, graphic
Fashion,
design, yeah,
design, yeah, all
fashion,
that.
illustration. I feel like there's this guard that tends to come down from those students without necessarily even realizing it. They're talented, of course. You know, they're people who graduate these art schools are no joke. You know,
Oh
to be
yeah.
able to be able to graduate from them, but at the same time, um, you, someone who didn't go to art school but still has this passion and this knowing that this is something that they want to do, who's now left college and is trying to break into the same industry, do the same skill. I feel like there are a lot of intangibles that you have that you've allowed yourself to take advantage of in such a way that I think that students who may have been art focused the entire time haven't allowed themselves to develop. They're reliant so much on
Yeah.
those hard skill sets of, oh, but I can model, like I can model with the best of them. I can, you know, my cinematography is, you know, I got this student film finished, blah, 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 blah. Where like why aren't I getting opportunities, you know, when they're out, like, kind of thing. So I think that people, you know, it's very admirable, man, to see, like, just in, like you said, that the 2 years since you've graduated, how much progress you've made, how far you've come, the work that you're putting out. I mean, I'm seeing you put out more work than people who've graduated from art
This is
school, and I'm
that's
like,
funny. Here's what I'll
you know,
say about what I've done post grad, and I'll talk about art school and then post grad. From the outside looking in at art school, I think it is so interesting because I had a lot of envy for them at that point because primarily you are around other people that are doing the exact same thing that you want to do, and they're sharing the exact same passions for you. And this is something that I feel still to this day. Like I would have loved to, like I said, a lot of this stuff I've learned on my own, trial and error. Like, does this look good? Does this not look good? I have no idea. So being in a space where you can get those answers on the fly, I think is why a lot of those people in those schools are talented. And I also think a good thing about film school, which kind of in art school kind of adds on to the point that I just said, is like you come out of school with a network already. Like people already know who you are and they already know what you're about and what you want to do. Professors and students and classmates alike. So I think that when I was coming out of school and when I was meeting other people that did go to art school, I felt like they had that edge on me a little bit. But like I've also seen on the job people leave because of their lack of communication or their lack of softer skills, and they did go to art school. So that's why I'm saying if I'm going to be somebody that didn't go to film school or art school, I need to make up that time by creating a whole bunch of stuff. But I also know that my communication skills and my softer skills might be a little more on advanced than those, right? So and then when it gets to like the work that I'm creating, I used to be so worried about getting things right. Like there are some projects that I would take months on because I was like, A, these are things that I've never done before, so I have to figure out how to do them and then do them in a timely manner. Like that's something that I had to really learn how to do is like give yourself a time frame, give yourself a deadline. Like I didn't really have any deadline for projects. So that's why I felt like that on top of being an athlete, I was so inconsistent with my work. And I think literally over like the last year, like maybe the last 8 or 9 months, I felt like I've gotten better at just hit the deadline, bro. Just move on to the next one. Because like done is better than perfect, but I wanted to make sure that my work was rivaling a lot of the kids that were coming out of art school. And I don't even know what that looks like or what that means, but I just wanted to make sure that when you look at something for the first time, does it catch your eye the same way that it does somebody who's been grinding this away because they had a free My subscription or they had a free Houdini subscription or something. So like that's why I really wanted to focus on making things good, and that kind of hurt the amount of projects I was making at once because I was so focused on, I wouldn't even say perfection, but just like get it to a point that matches everybody else. But after like literally in November of last year or December, like that's when I started saying, you know what, I'm just gonna start making things, give myself a month, give myself 3 weeks, less than that, release it, move on to the next one. If it's good, if it meets my eye, then sure, we'll continue. If not, I'll scrap it, move on to the next one. Like even there's some projects in this time that I started, got to a point where like this doesn't look good at all, trash it, move on to the next one. Because I already have 500 ideas in my head, like right now,
mhm.
so I can move on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'll say about that point.
Well, that's how you get better. And I feel like I said, I just through observation, it's like I feel like a lot of people don't do that. You know, they kind of rest on like, oh, okay, I have these one or two few things that I did really well,
Yeah.
because I had those people to get that instant feedback from, like you said, and I have this demo reel that I feel like is in a very good spot, and so maybe I'm hesitant to try something more exploratory or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because it's not going to come across as this, and this. What, but really, what's honing your skills the most is just from doing it. Like I feel like just following an idea is like one of the toughest things to get going on. You know what I mean? And so yeah, man, like that in combination with, like I said, your soft skills that you've honed from being a team captain, just the nature of athletics and being on a team and all of these things is I think is starting to show as really a big strength, man. And it's like, and I think that a lot of people should really kind of like think about,
Yeah, I want to
are they
ask you guys
honing
that.
that?
Like, what was that like for you? Like the few years out of school. Like Jamal, I know we've talked about like the sheer amount of emails you were sending and like how consistent you were with those emails. Like, what was that first 2 years out of school looking like? Jeffrey, I don't know if you went to our schools not as well, but
Yeah,
like, tell
went
me
to the
about.
same one. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about like the first few years out of school and like how obviously you guys are in a slightly different era, like not that far off, but like how did you really find your way? Is it the same as me? Is it like a little bit different? Like I would really like to know about that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can go ahead, Jeff. You can go first, Jeff.
Yeah, mine is so after I got out of school, because I finished school late. I was supposed to finish school like 4 or 5 years before I actually graduated. So I just felt like let me just get whatever I can get. So the first project I got was a consistent contract for this pharmaceutical company in Philadelphia, and I was just making blog post stuff, right? And it was okay, but it definitely wasn't enough. Like money, it wasn't enough experience. I wasn't talking to people that much. Kept on doing that. It was on and off, man. Like I would get contracts with certain companies, and since I'm not directly talking to anyone, it's just a recruiting company. They might just be like, actually, we can't afford the project because I think the way that they did it was they would send out applications and then bid on certain projects
Mm,
for like a healthcare company, and then if they don't receive the project, they just don't need the freelancers, so it keeps their
yeah.
overhead super low. So that happened like 3 or 4 times, and it was just super frustrating. And then I remember I was trying to do like some web design on the side that wasn't really working that well, and I kind of just reverted back to going back to my network and speaking to people and seeing what's up. And I would get small projects here and there. And then eventually I spoke to someone who was going up in a position. And then she was like, "Do you want my job?" So I
Hmm.
took the job and I've been there for about 3 years right now. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice, man.
it was definitely frustrating. I think I'm also married, so it's like I didn't just have myself to worry about. Um, and at a certain point, I was like looking at my partner, and I was like, I don't know what
Yeah.
to tell you. Like, I'm not making this
Yeah,
bread.
I have a girlfriend as well, and like it's embarrassing. It's like
Yeah,
she's very supportive, and she's upstairs right now actually. But like it's like it's hard because how do you explain to somebody the nature of getting into the film industry that doesn't understand it? And they're like, well,
yeah,
oh, why don't you just go to a studio, or why don't you just like the
pot.
stability, like the term of stability, or like the term of like get somewhere where you get benefits and a 401k like that. As like I had to really learn the difference between this is something I didn't learn at school, which I had to learn over the last couple of years, like the difference between freelancing and on staff somewhere, and like the nature of that. But Jamil, before I get into that, I'd like to give you your answer as well
Yeah,
about.
yeah. I mean, we've talked about this a couple times, Jeff and I. But like, what I think is so interesting talking to this to you, talking about this to you also is because like, you literally are in the same location I was
Yeah,
in. You know what I mean? Like where I
yeah,
grew up, where I'm trying to get into. At the time, it was in New York City, right? I graduated from school. I got a little bit of experience, but I was home in South Jersey, trying to find my foot in the door of a studio somewhere in New York. And so that looked like just cold emails, just all over LinkedIn, scouring, sending, like I used to like I would know the email domain of obviously like the company that I was trying to reach out to, and I would know the
Mm-hmm.
name of the recruiter I didn't like that I would find on LinkedIn, and I would just guess on what the actual email would be. So it'd be like,
Name at
yeah, name
studio.com.
at,
Yeah.
maybe I'll try first name, last name, maybe I'll try
Yeah.
like first. I used to just send like all those emails out until I got responses, and then um, you know, I eventually an opportunity came, which turned out to be like one of the first ones I had reached out to. It was just that
Nice.
it just legitimately took 6 months before they had something for me. But I had been so persistent, so consistent that when when that opportunity came, it was like, oh yeah, let's bring Jamil on. You know what I mean? But I I've I relate to you in that like I said, I was also an athlete like in high school and in college, and like I was team captain and stuff like that, and so I I wasn't necessarily conscious of it at the time, but I do feel like that was kind of like a beneficial thing for me to be able to like have those communication skills to and they still weren't like that great
Yeah.
at the time, you know what I mean? But I realized that it wasn't all about my abilities, you know what I mean? Like I knew that they would get better, and I knew I had that confidence in myself that I can learn this. Like I can learn Maya or whatever the program is. Like I can learn it. It's just a matter of like how do I kind of get in? How do I get feedback from other artists? How do I get feedback from you know CG leads and stuff like that about like the kind of work that I'm doing? And so it wasn't so dissimilar. It was just obviously the nature of the industry at the time wasn't such that it is now with and just creative industries in general, with such this kind of shortage really of opportunities going around, team sizes getting smaller and stuff like that. That wasn't necessarily the case in 2017 when I was trying to break into the industry. But I mean, the same process is the tried and true process. I think the main difference now, which I am excited to talk to you about, is finding those opportunities like not even within the VFX industry itself, because I feel like we're at a very interesting point. Jeff and we've talked about this a bunch of times. My opinion on like where visual effects artists and just creatives in general will find those opportunities isn't necessarily even in the traditional film and visual
Yeah.
effects industries. It's like it's going to be elsewhere, and so you're in a position where it's like not only are you a junior artist trying to break in, but you're also on the same playing field as any artist, senior, veteran, whoever, of trying to figure out how do I position myself to land wherever wherever it makes sense for me to land next, because it is not necessarily in the vis effects industry, film industry, game industry. Like we're starting to see opportunities pop up elsewhere just as creatives in general. So
Yeah.
it's a time where it takes that creativity, like not only in your work but also in just your way you're thinking, and where those opportunities can come from and how you can take advantage.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's cool to hear. I like to hear that you guys my struggles are being shared. You guys are going through the same stuff as I was, and that it's a decade long struggle. So that's really cool. But yeah, I would like to talk about, because I think that advice that you gave me a couple weeks ago when we were talking about like how to reuse your visual effects or use it elsewhere outside the traditional industry. I think, yeah, I would like to talk about that. So to start with that, I would like to share what my life has looked like since leaving school. So I graduated in May of 2023. I took from May to 2023 to January of 2024. So about like 7, 8 months. I was like kind of, I wouldn't say gap year, but like I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And that was a year where I was creating a lot. I did some traveling. I went down to Atlanta to see my sister. I went to Spain as well. So just doing some bit of traveling, but I also had to figure out like how am I going to do this without knowing anybody. And luckily on LinkedIn, somebody was hiring in Morristown, New Jersey at a studio 10 minutes from where I am. And so I saw that they were hiring. I dropped like my name out there, and the guy, the boss, the owner of that studio, he reached out to me and said, hey, noted your profile, saw you were in Mount Laurel, do you want to come in? Didn't even look at my reel, which I don't even think I had. Didn't look at any of my work. Came in, we chopped it up. It was a very small studio. Like literally the owner of the studio is a producer, and then he had a PM, which is like he was a couple years older than me. And then me, that was it. So I think I got very fortunate that they brought me into that studio. And that was my first industry job, man. January of 2024, I was working there for a project, and that really introduced me to virtual production, which is where I want to completely lock in and go all over with. It introduced me to like structure, like studio structure, like how are people landing jobs. Like it was an experiential studio, so they were doing a lot of ads and commercial bits, but also some really interesting stuff like with like light projection and like promotional content for events and stuff. So they were using, that's like what their game was. But I got signed on to do a video game, which I don't never considered getting into the video game industry, unless it was for like dope intro cinematics or like video game trailers. Like I know Halo has a lot of good stuff, and this card game Magic the Gathering, they have a lot of really cool stuff. So like, but it was an opportunity for me to learn Unreal. So that's why I was so glad to get the opportunity. And I was introduced to like motion capture. They made me in charge of the entire OptiTrack, like $20,000 mocap rig. I'm like, bro, I just got here. I'm 22. Like I just got here. Y'all are going to give me this opportunity. So I learned that software in like 2 weeks because we had to shoot. We were bringing in people to put them in suits. So I learned that software in 2 weeks. But I had watched all this stuff. Like I already knew what the dots looked like, and I already knew because I'm a nerd about the BTS. So I was like, okay, this is something that I want to do and already get into. So I learned that. And that's where I got introduced to like metahumans and facial animation and all this stuff. Like I got my hands dirty in all that. So I'm very grateful to the owner of that studio. His name is Phil, who allowed me to learn all this stuff and just dive deep into all of it. Because literally, besides me, there was like 2 other artists that they brought on contract, but I was the only real like animator / 3D artist / creative guy that was in there every single day. And at times it was hard because I had nobody to talk about ideas or bounce ideas off of. But at the same time, it allowed me to really understand what this whole world is. So like I got a bit of the business side, like what is bidding, like how are they bidding projects, like what do these Zoom calls look like where you're meeting the owners of these large studios. But then also the creative side, like I made sure to stay in contact with the people that were on contract, but they ended up leaving. But I still made sure that I grew a relationship with them, so that I'm talking to them about what they were doing before they got this project. And so like, that's where I was like, perfect. I know Unreal now. I know this is the future of filmmaking. Let me get really serious with this stuff. And then in October of last year, that project finished. And in my mind, I don't know why, I thought my goal was to get on that project and then hopefully be good enough or to be likable enough to stay on that project. And which it was. Like I got in January. The project ended in May, went through the summer with a little bit of downtime, and then we had to rework on that project again in like August and September. So like it came back, I was back on it every single day, and then in October that project was finished. And a lot of the projects they were bringing in past that didn't really require like Unreal or animation expertise. So I was like, okay, what am I really doing here? I don't understand. So I was getting to a point where I was about to ask my boss, like, is there stuff that I can do that's outside of Unreal or like animation stuff? And he was like, it got to the point where it doesn't make sense for me to continue to pay you to come in here every day. Like I love you and I love what you're doing and I love what the stuff you brought for us, but like from a cost perspective, it doesn't make sense for us to bring you in here every day. So in like October, I stopped going in there every day. And in my mind, I was like, all right, I'm now back on the market. And I should have been a little bit more prepared for that. Like I should have known that I was on there for a contract and not like a full-time role. But that's something I didn't know at that time. And because they kept me on past the project, I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm about to be here for a year or a year and a half. I was only there for 8 or 9 months. And so past November, that's when I really started trying to reach out to people, really lock in on LinkedIn and start making more work creatively and make a reel that I feel confident, because I don't think I'd get lucky enough to again for somebody to bring me on without seeing some of my work. So from there until literally right now, that's kind of what's been my goal, is like hone the network, like find people that can give me answers, give me information. And on top of that, I was doing that for this streamline, get into a studio, get into the mill, get into Frame Store, get into to some of these places where you're on staff or you're doing work for episodic or TV, because that's all I knew. And that's where I was like, I don't know what's going on, because studios are closing down. This business model of the visual effects industry is tanking, and it is terrible. So I need to find a way to diversify or take my skills elsewhere. Like, nobody knew who I was. I don't think nobody still knows who I am. Like, kind of a little bit, but like, I am a nobody. So I need to become somebody in this. So like, how do I do that? And that's where we had the really, really, really eye-opening conversation of hitting the creator market with visual effects and with 3D work. And when you first mentioned that to me, I was like, I don't know what that means. And then I started doing more research, and now I started to realize that that's probably the best advice that I've gotten since being out of school, is like understanding that this model of these studios bidding into the ground, overworking their artists, creating really bad work environments, and now studios are closing down. The Mill, Rhythm and Hues, MPC, like all these studios that are just closing down because of this business model that is tanking. And if we're not going to unionize, how low is it about to go? And where can you adjust so that you aren't falling, you're not sinking in that ship with them? So I don't know if you want to give the segue to VFX and the creator market, but that will lead us to where my last 2 weeks has been. And it could really
keep going. Just keep going. Keep
okay.
talking. We could circle back a short, like, because, like, I mean, like, as you know, like, I have thoughts for sure about this. We could talk about those, but keep going. Keep talking.
So yeah, as we know, the visual effects industry, this model of we're about to outbid anybody we can until we get to a point where we are accepting the work that doesn't change, by the way. We still have to make Thanos. We still have to make a bunch of Barbie doll houses. We still have to do all this with CG Barbie doll houses. We have to make all this, but we're about to do it for $30,000 less. So the work doesn't change. And now you are in a situation where you are burning out your artists, and now people who are literally playing make-believe and making worlds, like, this is the coolest, like, you could not describe that to anybody else and not have them go like, whoa. And now you are making people not like this because of your business model, and because you just want to get work. And now studios are closing. So I, being the young person that I am exposed. Like, yeah, I doom scroll on TikTok. I scroll, like, I'm on short form content. And it's weird because, like I told y'all, I grew up on the Netflix CDs. So every time I go to the movie theater and I see a good movie, I get goosebumps. So like, that's really what I love. But at the same time, I'm living in an era where people will go for short form content. They will go for YouTube and scroll. So, and I kind of hate that, but you can't fight the game. Like, you can't fight the where the world is going. And when I was in this time of looking for studio jobs and looking for things, I'm seeing how bad the industry was going. I was like, no, please don't tank into the floor. I'm trying to enter the industry. Like, please don't, like, just allow me in and maybe it'll get better. No, come on, bro. You got to focus. So, that was, I was like, okay, let's see what it means to really try and use visual effects for Twitch streamers, for content creators, for social media influencers. Like, what does that look like? Does that look like a lot of these people are like Drewski and Kai Cenat and like all these, they're dropping shows, like full on shows. Like Drewski is a creative comedian with the likes of, like, he's tapped in with all comedians, and he's dropping shows on YouTube for free. They need an intro sequence. They need an outro sequence. They need, like, this is stuff where you can use your 3D skills. And that's where I was like, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for because I also would like to be a personality. Like, I also want my name to be somebody that's as a peer of these people, but with the skill set of 3D and visual. Like, I don't consider myself a streamer or a content creator. I am by definition because I post my work online and it's content. But I'm a filmmaker, man. Like, that's who I want to be. That's what I want to do. So how would I use this skill set in this market of creators and social media influencers? And that brings us to last week, where Kai Cenat, one of the largest, probably, I'm going to call him the face of the internet. He's the face of the internet. Yeah. He is the leader of the internet, for sure. It's him, Mr. Beast, I Show Speed, right? Like, these are the people that are uber, like, global, right? And what is so good about him is that he's the same age as me. He's got a great personality. He's from the Bronx. He's got the energy. He revolutionized the way people watch live streaming. And that is, before it was people go live to play them, watch people play a video game. So like that's why Twitch is a thing. People like him turned it into a platform where they will just watch him. I don't care what game you play. You could be terrible at video games, but you are so entertaining that I'm going to watch you suck at video games because you're entertaining. So he revolutionized live streaming. And so he came up with an idea to where he was so popular now that he is going to release Streamer University, where he was going to rent out a university in Atlanta, Georgia, and bring on a bunch of people to just kickstart their careers in content creation, in social media. And so he released applications. Applications dropped 2 Wednesdays ago. That site had 7 million people trying to enter that website to apply for it. I don't think Harvard in 10 years is going to have that many applicants, because there is an economy that everybody wants to be a creator, right? Because this is a growing ceiling. This ceiling is high as all whatever. So I thought of this idea of doing a short film live on stream. And that idea was inspired by another Twitch streamer who makes music live on stream. And he's not a producer, and he'll record songs himself. His name is Max. His name is Plaque Boy Max. And he is also a Jersey guy. He's from North Jersey. And I love this idea because he'll bring on rappers. Like he's brought on Quavo. He's brought on Lil Uzi. He's brought on Central C. He's brought on a lot of smaller artists as well. But you get to see these artists in a way that you have never seen them before. You get to learn how they make a song. Are they freestyling? Are they one taking? Are they writing it down? What is it like when they're saying, no, I don't want that, keep that? Like you get to see behind the scenes. And even if you don't like music, or even if you don't enjoy the process of making music, you're watching something come to life right before your eyes, which is so. He is uber popular now, Max is, because of this model. So I was like, I'm watching this, and how can I do this for filmmaking? And as you know, I'm somebody that's in virtual production, in visual effects, in CG, and we know what that looks like at the high level. The Mandalorian, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, Oblivion, these movies that do the LED stages. So it's clear that real time exists. Like real time filmmaking is the future. And I will say that with 2 feet on the ground, that is the future of filmmaking. If you are not, obviously, if you can shoot on location, if you can shoot in the middle of Jordan to get realistic sand dunes, do that. But not everybody has that kind of budget. So virtual production and real time filmmaking is the future. But I was like, how can I take that and bring it to this creator economy of live streaming, which clearly has a large ceiling because Kai exists, because Mr. Beast exists, because IShowSpeed exists. Like that ceiling is much higher. And now Max is getting this guy that's doing these music things on stream. Record studios are hitting him up like, yo, do you want to sign to Warner Brothers? You want to sign to Atlantic? And you do this for them. And he has the opportunity to say no, because live streaming is about to be a lot bigger than y'all. And specifically because the music industry is kind of wonky. So I was like, can we do this for filmmaking?
It's the same ship. It's the same thing.
The same exact thing. Right. So I made a video for my submission for this Streamer University. Kai sees it on stream, live in front of 90,000 people. Is this? The entire chat is spamming, this idea is great, www, oh, this is fantastic. That same clip, somebody clipped that, put it on TikTok. I think it's at like 2.5 million people have seen it. So I was like, whoa. Okay, so y'all want to see a movie live on stream. That's cool. Unfortunately, I did not get accepted to the university. But I received that email and I was like, damn, because I would have loved to do this on the literal biggest platform in the world. But this is not making a song live on stream. To make a song live on stream, you need an artist and you need a person to click record and stop record. That's all you need, right? And you need somebody that's good enough to do it at a fast pace so that it keeps people's attention. You can't do that for a movie. I don't know, whatever movie you've seen that one person is doing the directing, the cam op, the lighting, the gaffing, like so the university is next weekend. I honestly don't think I would have been ready to debut this idea at the university. So I'm very grateful that 2.5 million people have seen it and that now I have more time to flush this idea out properly. And so what I've been doing is there's ways to do it at the low. Obviously, I told y'all what it is at the high level, which is like the LED screens and the LED volumes. But there's ways to do it for cheap with an iPhone, with a DSLR, with a Ronin. Like there's ways to do it at a very low budget level, and that is going to be the entry point. And people are going to see this come to life right before their eyes. And I want it to be so you can see a background. Like I don't think people will get a kick out of seeing like just a green void. Like I want to be able to have this keyed out, and so you can see whatever environment they're in already. And then you involve the chat. So like, okay, chat, where's our environment? I have 15 environments for you. We're gonna roll a dice, or I'm gonna bring a poll, and y'all will give me the environment. Okay, chat, what time of day is it? Is it morning? Is it nighttime? Is it evening? Is it sunset? Is it killer orange sky? Okay, boom. What's our genre? Is it an action scene? Is it a romance scene? Is it a talking scene? And that's where I have to figure out like what am I gonna do for lines? Like what am I gonna do for what people are actually saying? Like
That's the
kind of
fun
stuff.
part, man. That's the
Yeah.
figuring that part out is like, yeah, man. I
So I've been talking a lot, but that's kind of where I was like, how can I use my skill set and somebody that's been trying to break into this industry that is clearly declining for the last 7 months and pivot. And I honestly think this could change like streaming. And I understand that sounds very crazy and doesn't make sense, and I haven't even gotten anywhere close to the final product yet, but like I really think that this can change the way people view live streaming, just like when Kai does Streamer University, or he goes live for 30 days straight and doesn't turn his camera off. Like I could really see a lane where this might change a lot, but it has to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to do it first, right?
yeah,
So
I mean,
man.
it's like any idea has to start somewhere. And I think the main, like, I feel like there's like, you know, even if 50 people, 60 people heard what you just said and go out and try and do it themselves, like all 60 of them could be successful at it. Like it's not like, oh, only one person can have this idea, and it's like I feel like, and this kind of is what's interesting, because I've been thinking about this over the past couple days, particularly, and I'll kind of mention. Have you guys seen what's been happening with Marathon, the game that Bungie's creating? Are you familiar with that, Bryce?
No.
Yeah. Are they
So-
getting sued, or is it just like
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of shit going on with that game that's like putting it in a bad light. But like, long story short, is it's a very, very, very high budget game that's not getting good press. People aren't interested in it, right? And I've been very aware lately, like both with my experience being in the center of the visual effects industry, watching it kind of fall apart, and just the creative industries in general. I've been very aware lately about like what's happening. You know what I mean, and how, in some way, shape, or form, I actually think that it's like one of the best things that happen for ideas like you just mentioned, right? Is that like we have we've been having content, and I know people hate that word, like I hate that word kind of now too. It's like we've been having content made, but really it's like we've been having art try to be made from the top down for so many years. And what I mean by that is you have essentially a big publisher or corporation or somebody, a group of people at the top who are looking around at what's successful, what's making money, and saying, I need one of those. Like I want to sell one of those too. Like so they're contracting a group of artists essentially to make them their product so that they can make some money off of it.
Okay.
And it's starting from the top down, right? So it's like you have this contracted piece of product that's not really innovative. It's not really anything new. It's just an attempt to generate income for whoever's asking for it to be made. Whereas on the flip side, anything that you've played, whether it's a video game or a movie or a TV show or whatever that you've seen and you've just like felt to your core, like you said, like you get the goosebumps from it,
Yeah.
was made from the bottom up, was like innovated from like the actual artists themselves to make, like their goal was to just make a dope ass game or a dope ass movie or visual or whatever, right? And as the audience, you can pick up on that, right? I feel like the game, and that's why I mentioned this marathon game that's happening right now, because I feel like that's a really good example, because it takes a long time to make a good video game at scale, right? And so if you're trying, and so if the objective from the get go is to chase a trend, you know what I mean, is to like say, oh, we need a product like this because that's successful. We need one for ourselves. Bungie, go make this game for us. It's like, you know, you can tell as a consumer when you play it, you're like, this is just feels like everything else. You know what I mean? And so when you look at films, you look at visual effects, you look at all that stuff, I feel like people are really, really getting fatigued with that. Like, cause I just remember like even 8 years ago, like I remember still going to GameStop to like buy a game, and it like everything was new, it was different. Like everything that comes out now has it's the same model, the same battle pass,
Yep.
storefront
Subscription, like,
microtransactions.
yep,
Yeah,
buy $10, you can get the whole
yeah.
yeah.
Same with like, you look at Netflix, like Netflix has so many fucking movies are on Netflix, and all of them are like more or less the same, or it's like you have kind of like this formula. Like you can tell that whoever sanctioned it was like, hey, like this should do fine. Like this should make us some money. Like make a movie like this, right? And
Like Rick
so
Rubin called that commerce instead of art.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's what he's,
bro,
so it's like
exactly,
it's commerce. Like a lot
exactly,
of that, when you go top down, it's commerce, and like bottom
exactly,
up is more creativity and
exactly.
art. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And so I feel like we're hitting this point where people are people aren't with it anymore, and it's coming at this intersection where the technology itself, like you mentioned, like with real time, Unreal Engine, all of this stuff is actually making it so that the team sizes, like the same reason that team sizes are shrinking at these big studios and they're having less job opportunities, like that's the same, like the technology that's making that possible is the same technology that's going to make it possible for people to skip that middleman in the first place. And so it's like I don't need permission to make a cool ass game. I don't need it to be sanctioned by Activision first, or by 20th Century Fox, or whatever, whoever's paying a bunch of money for the Super Bowl commercial, like to make some cool shit. I can just make it I can just make it myself, build my own audience, and do like that. But the tricky part about it, like you said, is that it's not like recording a song where you just have one person to just press record and be the producer. It's like for a visual effects pipeline, you've got so many different pieces, you got so many different roles and skill sets involved to pull that together. So it's like, how can you merge, like how can you bridge that gap between a content creator, whether it's a big one like Kai Sanat, or even somebody who has a smaller following but still has great ideas, right? They may have a great idea for a comic book series, or a short animated skit or something like that, and they have a good little following, but it's like they may know absolutely nothing about getting started with previs and the whole visual effects pipeline. So like, how do you start to like bridge that gap that has existed for so long, where the only people who had access to visual effects talent and filmmaking talent and video game making talent are the people who had the big budgets. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of like what's so interesting, is it might not be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, but like eventually there's not going to be a need for that. People are just going to be able to just hop on board
And
and be
that
turned by the
that
crowd.
puts pressure on the top end, right? So that's like, all right, y'all want to make 3 Sonics.
Yeah.
Now we are in a position where we don't, obviously people are going to watch that, but if we want the real original stuff that we haven't seen before, that puts the pressure on them, where it's like, what are you about to do? What's your move? Are you going to actually tailor to fans and make art, or are you going to continue to do commerce? And the world is the rich people are rich, and I think a lot of them have the same mindset of like, I'm going to stay rich whether it impacts the world or not. So who knows if they're gonna bend, or if they're gonna stay solid. I don't know, but I think that will because it's gonna get to a point where that stuff gets more successful. So how are they going to respond to that? That's what I want to know, you know?
Well, that was a second layer to that marathon thing I brought up. Jeff was like, you kind of hinted at. We were talking about this the other day. Was that they apparently there was this graphic designer who did a lot of the designs back in 2017, so like 8 years ago or something like that. They did a lot of designs in that style that's now being used for marathon. And it's not
Mm.
like they used her inspiration or like the vibe of her aesthetic or something to kind of map out this visual language for the game. It's like they straight up copy pasted a lot of her designs and put them in the in-game assets of the game. And so it caught on, like it caught attention. She pointed out on Twitter. It became a big thing. People are seeing the comparisons. They're seeing how she posted this work in 2017 and here it is right here in 2025. They never contracted her. They never hired her. They never paid her for anything
Mm.
kind of thing. So it's like um when you're just a consumer, when you're just a gamer, you're just an audience member, you don't really think about that. Like you kind of know, like, oh yeah, like it's hard, like starving artist, that whole kind of cliche, right? But like, I feel like for the first time, at least as far as I can remember, it's been this big thing where even just like regular folks who are potential consumers of this game are seeing like, hey, like that's like this was like the one thing about the game that we liked, and you guys didn't even make it yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like at a certain level, I'm kind of happy that that this big kind of company is under the gun like this right now because I feel like I feel like slowly but surely the demand from the audience, which is the most important like thing in the
Yep.
first place,
People
is
that are
like
buying
starting to
it,
be
right?
like,
The people that are
yeah, it's
playing the
like let
game.
me just go straight to her. You know what I mean? Like it's like this was what I loved about the game. You guys didn't even make it. Like I might as well just follow this artist kind of thing. So yeah, I think opportunities are definitely going to be there, like you said, in the creator economy for you to make your own stuff for anybody. Like let's say 2-3 years from now, when your idea is successful, right? You're gonna need some people to help. You're gonna need some people on set with you. You're gonna like those are gonna be people who are gonna be able to benefit as well. Who are gonna be able to use their skill set directly,
Shoot, I
kind
might
of
need
thing.
that right away, man. Like I went the low budget. I think the low budget is possible, but like I've been doing this stuff. Like I said, I've taught myself a lot of this stuff. So like I've been doing it so often on my own, and it's almost hard to allocate help to other people because A, I don't have the money to pay them, and I know they'd like to be paid for the services, but B, it's like I don't know those people, so I have to go and find them, pitch them the idea, and then see if they're willing to jump on. But like I think at the very least I can do like the low budget part with me and a couple of my friends. Maybe if I teach them a thing or two, but this is still something that like you need people that understand at least at the very least Unreal Engine 5. And as strong it is, not a lot of people know that. So the amount of people that I went to LinkedIn like yesterday and this weekend and just typed in virtual production specialist or virtual production supervisor. And I sent the same message. I sent them the clip that went viral. I sent them my idea. And I'm like, yo, please just get on the phone with me. I need help. I need help. Like, I can't do this on my own because I just know that the idea is ambitious, but with like the right people, it is possible. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna ask, how is that going? Is anyone responding to it? Your messages and anything?
Yeah, I got a phone call tomorrow. And like that, like social media is I think it's fake. So like you can have 2 million people watch your clips, but only a handful of them will actually respond to you because 2.5 million people don't know how to do what you're doing. And there's only a few people that do know how to do it. So like I got on the phone with somebody that's a virtual production specialist like last week. I'm gonna get on the phone with somebody that is so like a couple, but this is just me asking them the idea or me asking them, is this idea crazy? And is it possible? If it's, I want them to tell me it's crazy. Like personally, that means it's something they haven't seen it before. But the next question I need an answer for is it possible? And so that's been like I'm not on those phone calls trying to recruit people. Maybe it can turn out to be that, but I just need answers for how to, like, the way that I want this to work out has to be done from a technical standpoint. Like, I need to make sure this works technically. Like, how do we key a green screen live? Like, how do I get the camera motion tracks properly? Because I want to be able to cam up and move. Like, I don't want it to be locked off on a tripod, because that's a little boring. So, like, those are like a lot of the questions that I have for how to make this a reality. Is very technical. So that's where I'm looking for the most help for right now, is with those people.
Do you
Yeah,
think
man.
do you think that like, I don't want to say people are afraid, but it's almost like I feel like, and anybody who's watching this, like, come in the comments or tell me, like, as
Please.
anybody who's been in the industry, who's been in the visual effects industry, and like had this idea and not done it because, you know what I'm saying, because they were afraid to kind
I
of
feel like it is possible, bro. Because
like, I
literally,
feel
if
like,
you just
yeah, like,
it,
I feel like this idea is picking up traction with Bryce Reece because Bryce Reece isn't in the visual effects industry.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I feel like people who are boxing themselves in until they like, oh, I can, like, I would never think about that. Like, it needs to be done for film. Like, we need to
Yeah.
do it for a movie or for a
it's interesting
production.
because,
Like,
like, if you did it, let's say you're on the Mandalorian set and you're doing all their VP stuff. My idea is get one camera that just has a bird's eye view of the whole studio, so that you just see people moving around on set, and then you just find a way to get a feed of what the actual camera that's operating the thing looks like, where it has everything keyed out or has the LED light. So you have two views of that, and then maybe a third of the Unreal Engine project where you're seeing it, the stuff happening, whatever's in set, real time. Like, that's it. You just need to be able to see it. So, like, if they were to do that on the Mandalorian set and they have everything already set up, just show people the bird's eye view of people around on set, and then people, and then a view of the in-camera view. That's it. That's literally all I want people to see, because everybody loves BTS. Everybody loves things like, I watched the Wolf of Wall Street scene of Matthew McConaughey and Leo, where he's sitting there,
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, I
none
know.
of that is on
Yeah,
paper.
yeah, yeah.
Imagine you were watching them on set figuring that out. Like, you don't have to love movies to think this is fucking hilarious. Like, that's what I want to get
Yeah.
out of this. Like, I want people to see the outtakes. I want people to see the bloopers. People love bloopers. So, like, and now once you see the final products and you never watch the
Exactly.
stream, you like, wow, this looks really cool. And then the first thing that you see on the film is, this film was shot live on twitch.tv. Follow here to see more. And so now, if you never even watched the stream, you saw the final product, you're like, wow, they did this live on stream. And now
Yeah.
you tune into the stream, and now you're seeing the outtakes. Now you're seeing the bloopers, all that live on stream. Like, that's where I see the
People
value in it, right?
underestimate people underestimate how interested people are in the process. Like
Yeah.
true art isn't about the end product. It's about the process. And like, you can, the people who are most appreciated, whether it's a fine, like leather handbag that was actually like handmade from, like, by one person, like, it took them weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, when you have that in your hands, like you can feel the process of it. That's what makes, it's so special. When you're watching a film that, like, the backstory, right? When you watch, this is the reason why, when the Super Bowl comes on, because everybody watches the Super Bowl, even if you're not a football fan, the whole week leading up to it, you learn all the storylines. You learn about
Yep.
how the quarterback, got benched when he was in college, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And they tell you about the coach, how this is his first time, like how he was dealing with it. They give you all the backstory, so that the actual end product, when you see it, actually means more. Like, that's like
Yep.
that's the art
And
of
that's
it, is
something
the
that, like, I was
process.
always told, like, by the people that I admire. They're always like, you have to fall in love with the process. And obviously, I know that from the athletic background. Like, I obviously put in the extra work. Like, I love keyframing, man. Like, I love being in keyframe editors, and I love scene assemblies. Like, when I'm making environments, like, I love that stuff, because, man, I'm placing blocks. I'm placing rocks, and I'm placing bricks, and I'm placing, like, this is like, I'm creating the world. And like, and when I'm animating a camera, I'm like, I'm adjusting the Bezier curves and stuff like that. So, like, I enjoy that. So that makes me know that this is something that I really enjoy doing, because I know, because I'm like, if I want something to look good, like this stuff is, you have to get through there. Like there's no cheating that. And you might say you could cheat that now with AI, but like you can, real deal, that doesn't cheat it as much as you, like if you really want to be hands on, you have to do this stuff. So I was like, I can't skip this if I want my stuff to look like a Chris Nolan film or something. Like you have to get through that part. So I've forced myself kind of to enjoy the process, because if I really want the product to be good, I have to. But B, like I do enjoy doing this kind of stuff. So I want people to see that in this idea, and then maybe it'll spark, maybe they'll learn a thing or two. Maybe people will try and start doing it on their own. But that's why, to be honest, I came up with this idea of a live movie on stream like in December, when I was watching a lot of that streamer that I told you about before. But I was like reluctant to share this idea, because I was like, they're about to steal this and I don't even know how to start it. So I'm afraid. But now that I've got the answers of how to do it, I don't think people are willing to do all the work that it takes. Like there's a course that I'm about to buy, which I've seen the people do it and make a short film based off of this like low budget VP. The environment's already there. You can see the feed of the environment. All I need to do is figure out how to get that feed to my live stream and have people see that. And then that's version 1. So, and then it just goes from there.
I mean, people are gonna tune in because they want to see you. I mean, for the same reason that people do travel vlogs and food reviews and stuff, like there's a bajillion people that do that, but the viewers that they have, they like watching this person do it, they like watching that person do it, and so
Yeah.
it's all about the stories, and the personalities and everything.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's great that you've gotten that social proof from people. You can literally, the video that went viral, you could just message everyone who responded to it and just say, "Do you want to support this film?" And it's not like, and that's what I love about like this creator economy. It's like we're not waiting for permission. We just make shit, see what happens, and we evolve from there. So man,
There's 1,300 comments on that video. I've replied to maybe 900 of them on the video that went viral, because it was a clip that went viral. It wasn't on my TikTok account. It was on some random guy that was clipping. Like, I need these 2.3. Come follow me. Like, I need these people. So like, I would not recommend that to people to recommend going through 1,000 TikTok comments. Like, your brain will probably rot. But there was just so much love under that comment section. Like, people that really wanted to see this idea. So if I saw a hate commenter there too, I can't. Like, hate comments don't mean anything to me, because the people that know how to do this stuff, they would never say anything like that. So I made sure to reply to all these people, because when I posted that video on TikTok, I had 150 followers. I now have like 700, but like 2.3 million, I need like a couple thousand. Like I need, like, come on. So I'm really trying to do the work to make people, to push that traction towards my page, just so that people can be there and be ready for when version 1 drops, And yeah, I'm not waiting for permission is huge, man, because that is what I was doing this last 7 months, is trying to get permission to get into these studios, even though it's an environment that is clearly failing. And like I said, I didn't want it to be one, because I'm like, yo, please, I'm trying to get into this industry. Please don't close down your studio. Like, please don't. I'm trying to. So, but I guess you don't have to do that,
yeah, that's incredible.
Have you ever question? Have you ever? This is kind of going back to your experience like as an athlete. Have you ever felt like the inverse of, because I know usually stereotypically, like in high school, the athletes are like the popular ones, and then you got the kids who are much more reserved, who are into like video games and stuff like this. Is how it was, at least in my high school, is just kind of like that was the case. Communication skills not as like outgoing, more introverted kind of thing. And so have you felt like coming back into like an industry where more people are like more introverted and in that like,
it's funny you
type,
say that.
like
It's
makes
funny you say.
feel more
I
like
would,
a
yeah, I would consider myself, like, this might sound weird now, because like I'm very comfortable with y'all, because y'all look like me, and this is a space that I'm a nerd about. So I'm going to be over exaggerated, but like I very much consider myself like an introvert slash extrovert at the same. Like, I get it from my mom, where she's kind of like introverted, but like extroverted around. Like, people say they're introverted but extroverted around the right people. That's kind of how I view myself as a while. But Like I'm a nerd, bro. Like I have an anime tattoo on my arm. Like I'm big into anime. I'm big into like card games and like strategic and like video games. Like that was big for me. And I just felt like if I really, hey, like I'm not a streamer, but I want this idea to be done live on stream. So you have to give yourself, like I'm not going to change who I am or change my personality. But I have to be able to be somebody that people will like in order to make this idea pop. But I definitely felt like I was introverted. Like obviously being an athlete and being successful made it seem though as like I was the big kid. Like people always wanted to, or I was just full of extroversion and just always out there. But I definitely did not feel that. Like when I got to campus for the first time, when I campus for school, like I was around a lot of people that I didn't know. And, you know, you go to these parties, everybody's drinking alcohol. I'm not really a big alcohol drinker at all. So they would sit there and be like, oh, you're not drinking, bro? Like, what are you doing? So everybody's all extroverted. And I'm just sitting there chilling like this, just people watching. I'm a big people watcher. So I'll just sit there and watch people. And that was just what I did. Like I did that for a while. And also a freshman. Like you don't want to be that extroverted freshman because people just look like you like you're an asshole. So I'm just sitting there. And obviously a lot of those people on that team didn't look like me. So I was just there observing. Like I was very observant. And like I said, I was there for a reason. I was there to play sports. So I'm not about to be around here fooling around at least the first few years because I'm really trying to get on this team and play. Like I'm not about to be bench warming. So I was very introverted in those ways. Like even in high school, I had like a core group of friends. So I was always around people, but I didn't really felt like that played into me being this big extroverted person. So I don't know. I fit like the best of both worlds. Like I felt like I knew a lot of people that were all over the place, and that kind of just really helped my personality, you know, and just like
Yeah.
how I view the world.
The reason I ask is because I feel like with that context, you could encourage a lot of people who are like self-proclaimed like introverts, like very very hesitant to kind of put themselves out and advocate for themselves and practice those skills of communicating and vocalizing and talking and stuff like that. It doesn't have anything to do with your personality. It's literally just a skill that you're flexing, no different than learning Blender or learning Unreal or anything like that. And so I always like pointing out examples of someone who still considers themselves to be shy and an introvert, but is clearly still a very good communicator
That's a really
and
good point.
can
I think I definitely had to practice like this
yeah.
getting out there. Like that is not something that came. Like some people it comes like that, like naturally. Like I think I was always a good public speaker. Like I don't really get nervous when it came to public speaking, but that besides that, everything else had to be practiced. You know, like I had to
Yeah.
really figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I was gonna highlight how like that's a very like difficult thing. I feel like that's like an edge for you, especially coming from sports. Because I remember Jamil. I think we had a public speaking class in art school,
Oh my
and
God, I
man,
was
people were we at a certain point they made it mandatory for every single student at SCAD to do at least one public presentation because
Yeah.
it was so difficult. And I always thought that like technically when I went into art school, um, I thought the only thing that I needed to know was like technical skills. I didn't really think about the public speaking as much. But then when I got there, I was like, oh, this isn't something that I'm really stressed out about. But everyone else is like people like crying, and I know it's tough. It's like there's people say like there are people who are more scared of public speaking than like dying or spiders or snakes.
Come on, man.
It's
Come
tough,
on.
but nah, man,
It's
it's
just about being vulnerable, like getting out of your comfort zone, man. Like going up to the Brooklyn VFX event a couple weeks ago. Like that was really me getting out of my comfort zone because I had never. I don't remember the last time I walked into a space of a bunch of people that I didn't know and then have to walk up and just say something, like force conversation. But if you're in a space where people have a thing in common or multiple things in common, use that as your leverage. Like find an icebreaker. Like look up icebreakers, bro. Like you don't have to fake it. You don't have to lie to kick it. Like if you have to look up 10 icebreakers to start a conversation, do that. Like that is whatever gets you in to then start flowing. Okay, oh, he likes visual effects. Oh, he likes 3D. Yeah, okay, let's talk about what's your favorite movie. What do you like? That kind of stuff, like the simple stuff. And you'd be surprised how a conversation can flow in that manner.
Yeah. And that visual effects event had a lot of people.
Yeah,
That bar was
yeah.
popping on that
I'm
one
curious
day.
how it'll be today. I'm going up there today, so we'll see how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to let me know. I'm not able to make it, unfortunately. I wish I could, but
Yep, it's all good. Be there in spirit.
yeah, man. Hey, man. Listen, come back, chop it up with us anytime.
For
We want to hear
sure.
progress about about your vision, about how that's coming along. Like I said, when, not if, but when is popping and it's working. Definitely have you back on to talk about how you got there. You know
Hell
what
yeah,
I'm
we'll do
saying?
it. Can we do
Um,
like a speed round of random questions? Like, do y'all have random questions for me, or can I ask y'all random
Jeff's the
questions? Like,
one. Jeff is the one to do that. But yeah, if you got something for me, we can
do you
do it.
guys have a favorite
With you.
movie? Like a movie that what like whatever the moment was that got you into doing this stuff? Like, I would like to know that.
Yeah, mine is Akira. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, what the
Yeah, yeah,
music,
yeah, yeah.
everything, the cars. When I saw that, I was like, everything that I'm seeing looks like it took forever to make, and I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
everything.
It's a great
So I
answer.
could tear up thinking about it.
Nah, you don't, I hear you, bro. Like, I hear you. You don't got to tell me.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
for
about
me
you,
it was
Eagle?
the visual effects breakdown, like you said, the behind the scenes for Watchmen. I
Oh,
was at the Art Institute in Philly. They had like a open like day where you can come and just see all the different majors and stuff like that. They had a booth. Somebody was standing at like the animation booth, um, which was mad crowded. A bunch of people were around there asking him questions. They had somebody else was at like the game design booth. Everybody was crowded around there asking him questions. And then there was another guy in the corner, had nobody at his booth, but he had the visual effects breakdown for Watchmen playing behind him, and he was just like on his phone or something like that. So I was like, I
shoot!
saw the
If I seen
breakdown.
that, that would have been crazy. That would have been a big,
Yeah,
yeah, that'd have been a mind
I
blower.
saw the breakdown and I was like, that kind of looks like my speed. Like I didn't even know what that entailed, but I was just visually, I was just like that looks like like the process, being able to be a part of that process. Like I would love to do that. That's what the first time I got interested in doing like VFX stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Bryce? Did you say Transformers or
I
what?
did. I'll
Yeah.
say Transformers. I think it's just like
Mm-hmm.
obviously Shia LaBeouf had a great performance. Megan Fox had a great performance. Like just the interaction between the robots. Obviously,
Yeah.
they looked like their rendering was unbelievable. Like they're like the way they color matched and did all that comping work. They made it look so real. But specifically, like the interaction between the humans and the robots. Like there would be times where Bumblebee would catch Shia LaBeouf,
Mm.
or Optimus would catch Megan Fox or something, and I'm like, how are you doing that? Like this, I literally thought I could jump through the screen and like be in this world. And I saw that like it came out in like '08, and I had must have been I I didn't watch it in '08, but I watched it when it came out like on demand like a couple years later, and I'm just like, whoa, this is something I never seen before. Like I really think Transformers really like you think of Avatar, you think of Jurassic Park where you see dinosaurs for the first time,
Yeah.
and I think Transformers is like really the first time you saw metallic, shiny, larger than life robots for the first time on film that look good. And obviously Michael Bay's big action, big blow things up, and it's the way they're interacting with like the way they mixed visual effects and special effects.
Hmm.
That really did something for me. So from there on, it was game on. You know.
I still I was laughing about this a couple weeks ago with my brother-in-law. I was like Pacific Rim, Pacific
Yeah.
Rim.
Mm.
I remember like when I saw that, I saw it in theaters. I remember distinctly saying, "How can visual effects get better than this?" Like I
Right.
remember saying that. And
Yeah.
then I was joking with my brother-in-law like a couple weeks ago. I was like, "They haven't."
Yeah.
I was like
Like just the weight
they
of the
haven't.
robots, like how they're moving, like the way, how slow they're. Like you could tell that
Hmm.
their arm weighed 500 pounds or maybe like 1,500. Like just the way they're moving, the way they're throwing punches, like all that. Like I watched Pacific Rim breakdowns. I don't know. I don't even. I
Yeah.
that like I understand the game now, but like even then, like that's just artistry. That is artistry.
Hmm.
Pacific Rim
It's
is
like
dope.
it's the craziest blend of like artistry with like technical ability. And that's why I think it's so crazy. That's why it's so crazy to me that the talent that's in the visual effects industry hasn't built their own audience. Like hasn't broken away and managed to capture their own audience with their own stuff because I'm like, bro, people are watching the
Everything
stuff
has
that
visual
people
effects.
Yeah, the
From
stuff that
from
people watch
Transformers
on
to like
anything.
background replacement and Parasite and stuff like that. Like it's everywhere. You know?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Why? Like, how is it that it's not in on YouTube with all these creators and stuff like that? Like, or just like people making their own stuff or whatever it is. It's just I don't know. It's just crazy how like the talent is just like trapped almost. It's trapped by permission, like you said, Jeff, from the big studios and the budgets to be able to do stuff. So I don't know that we don't have all the answers right now, but I feel like just as far as just like a feeling goes, you can kind of see that that's where the talent in these industries is gonna land for sure.
yep. I see it, man. I see it. I want to be a part of that, but I definitely see where it's going, man. It's exciting times, you know.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. But this is great, Bryce. I think that's a good place to wrap up the pod. Where can people find you? I know there's gonna be a lot of people curious to talk to you, and it sounds like you're open. Is it LinkedIn? I know you got your website. We're gonna drop everything, but I didn't know if you had any shout outs.
Yeah, I'm Bryce Reece on LinkedIn, but everywhere else, every other social platform, it's Lord Naps, LORDNAPS. Lord Naps is an ode to when I was in high school. People used to say my hair was nappy a lot because I had 4C curls, and I used to rock a box fro, and they would take the pick, they couldn't get through it, and they're like, your hair is nappy, all your hair is nappy. And then it got to a point where I was like trying to think of a new Instagram title, and I just thought of Lord Naps out of nowhere because
Lean into it.
and I was leaning into it. And it was funny because I used to be playing when I used to play, and I was in the playoffs a lot. Enemy team spectators, they would try and like get under my skin by calling me my Instagram handle. Like they would say Lord Naps, like whole time. I was getting ragged on that in high school this whole time. So you telling me Lord Naps is like, oh, my Instagram name is actually tough because now people are shouting it. Whole time they think they're trying to get under my skin. In my mind, I was like, oh yeah. So now the name actually works. So that's just how you have to view stuff. So yeah, everywhere else I'm Lord Naps. Yep. Come on, like that's my thing. Lord Naps everywhere, and it's quick. It's like King Vader, Spike Lee. It's 2 syllables. It's quick, you know. But yeah, that's where you can find me, man.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate y'all so much. This is great. I don't know any other times where I've been able to really nerd out and share my thoughts. So this is a really good platform for that. Love Lightdrop. Love what y'all are doing. Thank you so much, bro. For real.
Of course, Bryce. Thanks for coming on, man. We're definitely gonna have you on again, like I said.
Yes, sir.
And that's the
Yes,
pod.
sir. And cut.